Welcome back, all you wonderful people. Hello, YouTube. I hope everyone had a great weekend, a productive weekend, and you're grateful for all the blessings you've received in your life recently. So today, I want to talk about a topic that's going to take a few videos to cover because it's very in-depth. And this topic is the narcissist. Generally, people with a lot of empathy will have narcissists around them. A narcissist is defined by their need for control and fuel. Control being they have to have complete control of every relationship in their life. This is manifested from the same childhood wounding that creates an empath. It's whether they were not allowed, they were abused, they were not supported as children, they felt that they had no control over their own life and their own being. So this manifested into a pathological need for control. Fuel. Fuel is emotional energy. Be that positive or negative, it's an emotional response to their words, their actions, whatever they may say or do that causes some type of serious emotional reaction in the other person. This feeds them. It feeds the need inside of them. I tend to think of a narcissist as like a black hole. It's an unquenchable need for control and fuel. People will pour energy into that, and it's never enough. There's always going to be this unquenchable thirst for something that they cannot achieve. There's various types of narcissists, but right now I'm going to go through the process of how a narcissist will hook you and attach themselves to you in your life. The first phase is love bombing. This is a phase where they idealize you. They'll constantly tell you how great you are. They will be around you and verify and validate basically anything you say and just make you feel whole. It's a process where anyone that's been, through childhood wounding, they're getting that validation, they're getting that healing of their inner child from outside of themselves. The narcissist is providing them with like kind of a mirror of themselves, which is something else they will do. It's called mirroring. They'll pretend that they like all the same things as you. You'll say, I have read this certain book, or I have this certain object or this hobby or what have you, and the narcissist will say, oh, that's amazing, like me too, same. And it creates this, what people like to call a soulmate connection. You think you found somebody that is so much like you and interested in all the same things as you, and wow, this person might be my soulmate. It's amazing. But really what it is character acquisition. A narcissist doesn't really have a personality of their own. They acquire personality traits through the people that they abuse and use in their life. Like I said, there's this constant black hole, but they're very adept at being able to relate to people because they're good at mirroring and they're good at using the character traits of people that they had in their past to appear genuine. It's very interesting because empaths will have some of the same traits as a narcissist. Everyone has narcissistic traits. It doesn't necessarily make you a narcissist, but if you can look at the pattern of behavior and it follows certain steps, then you'll be able to determine whether the person is a narcissist or not. And narcissists, of course, love compliments. It's emotional fuel, positive emotional fuel. So as long as you're complimenting them, as long as you're giving them the attention that they want in the moment and being very attentive, then your relationship with them will mostly remain in a positive state, at least at the beginning. But you have to remember, a narcissist is always looking for the next fuel source. They have multiple fuel sources. Usually they have what's called intimate partner primary source, or IPPS, which is someone that they have an emotional and usually sexual relationship with. Then they may have other intimate partner secondary sources, which is the same thing, but another person in their immediate physical vicinity that they share those same things with, that they can get fuel from. Then they will have secondary sources. Secondary sources, which are friends, family, typically, but not someone that they are sexually involved with. But these are all people that can provide them fuel and character traits for them to continue the facade. The intimate partner primary source is generally the person who is most capable of providing them massive amounts of fuel, massive amounts of emotional fuel. In time, they'll find someone else because they're always looking. They don't have long-term relationships with someone unless they're generally cheating on them with someone else. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, after the phase where they're love bombing and mirroring you, then will come the devaluation phase. This is when you're no longer giving them what they want, or they've found someone else more capable of giving them what they want. So you may disappoint them in various ways. You said something that they felt slighted by. They purposely misinterpret your words, whereas once it seemed like they understood everything that you said. Now they break down everything that you said and purposely misinterpret it as slighting them. In this phase, you're painted black, as they say. When you are in the devaluation phase, you may start to question yourself and question what changed, because this person felt like my soulmate, they loved me, and now they don't want to give me that positive affirmation that they always gave so freely. It's hard to recognize a lot of times what the trigger was for the devaluation phase. But the best way to cope with it is to realize that it's not you. This is a pattern of behavior, And most likely, there's someone else in the picture that you don't know about. There's someone else that they're now, wrapping their tendrils around, and they're busy love bombing and mirroring this person, and they don't have time to continue that same sort of relationship with you. So now they switch you to a negative fuel source while they're getting the positive fuel from someone else. A lot of times, scapegoating will be involved. So they'll find an excuse to not do something because of something you did, or they'll say, I was just too busy, something came up, and they won't have time for you, whereas once they had all the time in the world for you. Scapegoating is pretty common in the devaluation phase. They'll withhold the affection that they once gave. And one of the biggest ways to tell that you're dealing with a narcissist is something called future faking. Future faking is when they make you a promise that they're going to do something either on a specific day, specific time, or in the future. Far future, near future. And they constantly back out of it, or find a reason to not do it, or continue to put it off and put it off to a later date. This future faking always occurs in mostly the devaluation phase. It will start in the earlier mirroring and love bombing phase, but it will intensify in the devaluation phase. And it leaves a person feeling uncertain and uncalm because you can never get a straight answer. And once you feel like you've gotten a commitment, they always back out of the commitment. And you feel like you're on shifty ground all the time and nothing is certain. So, the whole idea behind the devaluation phase is to get negative fuel from you. This provision of negative fuel will be greater if you continue to involve yourself with every little thing that they do and respond and respond and respond. Then they'll continue to devalue you and your character. Eventually, you may get to a place, or you may not, that is the discard. The discard phase is where they'll start using silent treatments, not responding to your messages or phone calls, and then you start to feel like maybe you did something horribly wrong, and once again you're blaming yourself. The discard phase can be short or longer. It can be a phase where it's kind of a mutual drawback, where you both draw back because you may have realized that something's wrong and you don't want to communicate with this person, because whereas they once made you feel great, now they make you feel horrible. But once the narcissist discards, it doesn't mean they're gone. A narcissist has a fuel matrix that consists of all these different people that they're drawing fuel from. If the matrix changes, then they may come back. They may come back to you and try and repeat these type of through the process, the different elements of the process, to try and reel you back in, depending on what type of fuel they need and how things are going in their fuel matrix. The main thing you have to remember in all of this is the narcissist does not see you as an individual. You're their possession. They can do whatever they want to you, and they're justified in it because they need control. And that control is what allows them to survive. So when you are, let's say, hurt or sick or unable to provide that fuel that they need in sufficient quantities, that's when the discard phase will begin. And a lot of the reason why you may become hurt or sick or just in a very bad place outside of things that could be happening in your own life is because of the way they devalued you, and now you're uncertain of your own character and the things that made you you. You've become codependent on the narcissist, and they're not giving you any type of affirmation. They're just breaking you down farther and farther. So your own emotional stability is in a very, very horrible place. So, the thing you have to watch out for and understand is that once you've been discarded, it doesn't mean they're gone. At some point they'll come back. Weeks, months, years. They may take an approach where they're far away and just liking your posts on social media, or every once in a while just throw you a bone to keep you around. Send you a quick message like, hey, how are you? And you'll just say fine, but there's no other real involvement. You may ask them what's going on, how are you, and they'll ignore it because they're not trying to have a genuine interaction with you. They just want to make sure that you're around enough in case they need you for emotional support and fuel down the line. And down the line is something called a Hoover. And the Hoover is after the discard, when they may bring you back into the fuel matrix because it's necessary for them at the time. And once again, that's when you'll go through possibly all the phases again, possibly just part of the phases. It really depends on how involved you are and how easy it is for them to get fuel from you. If they don't have to go through like a full love bombing and mirroring, then they won't. They'll just be in this middle ground where they can provoke an emotional response from you without much effort. And you continuing to communicate with them bolsters their own ego. Most narcissists are not self-realizing. They don't know who they are. They don't understand what they are. And they feel completely self-justified in doing the things that they do. So now I'm going to point out some signs that you can use to recognize a covert narcissist, which is an unself-aware narcissist. And this is stuff that would happen throughout your whole relationship with them. Generally, they are shy and quiet, withdrawn and introverted. they won't want to speak about themselves, even in the beginning. They'll say that I'm a very private person, or it's very hard for me to talk about myself. And the reason being because deep down there is no self. There is just character traits that they've acquired from other people. They don't have a sense of self. So the best they can do is mirror you and or throw different character traits from other people that they victimized in the past at you. Very, very sparingly will they be able to relate to you on a level of actual childhood trauma. They may throw out like a quick pity story, but they won't give details. They won't describe, when and where and who and how. It'll just be a quick story to get some fuel from you. But they won't usually be able to actually relate. They stay at a distance the whole time. Another way to recognize a covert narcissist is the hypersensitivity to any perceived slights. So this is usually something that happens, in the devaluation phase, but it can even happen in the love bombing phase because they see themselves as perfect. And anytime you criticize them, even in the slightest way, and it may not even be a criticism, they just hear it that way, they're going to strike back at you. They're going to question you on it, and they're going to find a way to change it around to make them back into this perfect being. The next way to recognize a covert narcissist is they always have to be attached to a person or a cause. Once again, it's usually a IPPS or a secondary source that they may not be intimate with, but has a long-term position in this person's life. And they will put that person up as the forefront of who they are. And say, this is my best friend, and everything they do always involves this person. They don't have a strong enough sense of self to be by themselves for an extended period of time. So they always have to have that one person there who can be the front for who they are supposed to be. That person is usually a friend, a long-term friend. And many times they will use that person to triangulate you, meaning they'll talk about that person with you when you're having a discussion about your relationship. They'll insert that person into the conversation to divert attention away from any conversation that may make them uncomfortable. So they are also very disagreeable once the devaluation phase starts. Everything you say, they're going to be critical of it, but they're not really going to confront you with it. They'll say things like, that made you feel a certain way. If that made you feel a certain way, that's not me, that's you. And, I mean, in a sense, that's true. But once you've been manipulated by the person, you are in a place where you're always going to seek their validation for anything because you love them. And they will generally withhold any type of compliments towards you once you're also in this devaluation phase. They also have a sense of entitlement because they are, once again, perfect and they deserve all the best. And if you, let's say, give a gift to a covert narcissist, they'll be very appreciative for a moment. And then, right behind that, they will launch into some sort of devaluation, a silent treatment, a scapegoating, because they don't want you to feel like you got closer to them. They have to keep you at that comfortable distance. They are highly exploitative. They'll use guilt and shame against you. And by that I mean, a narcissist is always fishing for information, especially at the start. At the start of the relationship, it seems like they're asking you all these highly personal questions because they want to help you. They want to be there for you, and they want to help heal those childhood wounds. But once you're in the devaluation phase, they will use those same things that you told them against you to make you feel guilty and shameful of them. They'll say things like, there's something wrong with your inner being, and until you figure out what's going on with your inner being, you're going to push people away. Those people are going to run from you. And maybe that's something that you felt on a level in your childhood because you had an abandonment issue. And now they're using that abandonment issue against you. Another way to recognize them is that they'll do the absolute least. Whatever they can get away with, that's what they do. They don't generally reciprocate in an equal manner or anything close to it. You can continue to give of yourself every last drop, and they'll give you a breadcrumb. Just a small little piece of input that keeps you there wanting more. That's typically something that a narcissist will do. And there's probably a lot of people out there going, well, I don't know if so-and-so's a narcissist. Like I said, there's a lot of different things that I've pointed to that a narcissist will do. The steps there, and they're very defined. If you just think about the people in your life that are real friends, that you know for sure are there, there's never a question of how they feel about me or will they respond to me. You may not talk to a close friend for, weeks, months, but you never have this doubt in your mind because they've never put you through trauma. They've never exploited your love. So there's no need to question who they are and why they're in your life. That's one of the ways that you'll also be able to identify them because you're always very unsure. You're unsure about them, whereas once they were the most sure thing in the world to you. Now you have no idea if this person really cares. And that manifests itself, once again, many times when you're hurt or sick or dealing with actual events in your life that are shaping things around you. You can't count on them for any type of support. Another way to recognize them is they don't apologize. They don't make real apologies because they don't ever feel like they did anything wrong. They're always justified in their actions. A real apology is usually just a straight up, I know I was wrong, I shouldn't have done that. But a narcissist will say things like, I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. Or, I'm sorry that something else came up and I couldn't be there. They don't give direct apologies. They're very indirect and they have to be coerced. And that's something that doesn't really happen with real friends, loyal people. They will offer an apology a lot of times without you asking for it if there's something that is misunderstood between the two of you. A lot of times there is no need to apologize between loyal friends because nothing ever happens to cause the need for an apology. So let me go over one more time the steps that a narcissist will take you through. The love bombing phase, where they're idealizing you, mirroring you. They're saying that you're great and everything you like, they like. Then there's going to be, in that phase, there's going to be character acquisition because they don't have any real personality of their own. And then in the devaluation phase, you'll see things like future faking, making fake promises that they never keep, scapegoating, where they'll blame other people or you for issues that they can't resolve, or them not being able to be there when they said they would be. And after the devaluation phase comes the discard phase. This